As the release date for Warzone 2.0 draws closer, I know we're all just charging our way through weapon progression trees to get as many weapons Warzone ready as possible. I mean, I know I am at least. Which has got me thinking, what weapons and loadouts are going to be the best of the best as it currently stands? To answer that question, I wanted to do a bit of theory crafting, and this is where I've landed. G'day there once again viewers, your mate Kamikaze78 here, and today we're going to be going over my predictions for the meta weapons and loadouts for Warzone 2.0. So, as we all know, the Warzone gameplay experience is very different to that of the core multiplayer one. The ranges in which engagements are fought are often extended, and time to kill lengths are often longer as well. And that's obviously thanks to the presence of body armor and just the nature of the Warzone map. Which means that weapon loadouts that are entirely built around the quick and dirty action of the core multiplayer mode, well, I don't think they're going to work as well in Warzone. The metas that we've seen cultivate in our first few weeks of playing this game, they're going to struggle significantly in the new environment that is going to be Warzone 2.0. We've all been tricking our weapons out for fast ADS speeds because, well, that's been one of the core complaints of the game, but in doing so, we sacrifice things like weapon accuracy and damage range. Those are things you just can't give up in Warzone 2.0. So with the groundwork laid out for this video, a couple of quick housekeeping items. These are predictions based entirely on what we know about Warzone 2.0, as well as my experience in Warzone 1 and the current balance of the game as it stands as of today. The devs may decide to do some weapon balancing as Warzone 2.0 goes live, but I've also got a feeling that these weapons, regardless, are here to stick around just by the nature of their being in the game. This is in no particular order, but there are a couple of hot takes in here, so leave some comments about whether or not you agree with these hot takes as they come through the video. But let's talk about the first weapon here that I think is really going to cement itself into the meta of Warzone 2.0. And of course, it's the M4 leading the charge out of the gate here. Honestly, the king of consistency is back once again, and I really feel like this weapon will quickly cement itself into the current Warzone meta just due to how many things it does well and the customizability of its attachments. No, it isn't going to pack the deadliest punch of the weapons available, and its time to kill certainly suffers as a result of that, but with the following attachments you can really turn it into quite the laser beam that feels extremely effective at decent ranges, mind you. Here I've got the high tower 20-inch barrel making up the crux of this loadout, being, you know, just a great damage range, bullet velocity, and recoil control equalizer. We've also got the F-Tac Castle comp on here for extra recoil control. The VLK 4.0 optic is my personal optic of choice for medium range, as it just has such a clean reticule that's very easy to work with. We've got the Demo Precision Elite Factory for aiming stability and more recoil control, and of course, a 60-round magazine. This is a weapon that is able to beam a target down at range with minimal recoil to deal with, and that's including visual recoil, I found, mind you. The visual recoil on this build is actually very low, mind you, and it keeps the weapon's bounciness down quite a bit so that you can still chain those shots even at a somewhat extended distance. And this is all while having the ammo capacity to get through a second or even a third target if you're accurate enough. The 60-round magazine feels really good to have on this kit, and the presence of armor will make the extra rounds a necessity if Warzone 1 was anything to go by, and while yes, there have been some changes between the games, I predict that we're going to see an emphasis on larger magazine sizes once again. Once again, this weapon's not going to win any time to kill races out there, but it's certainly a comfortable choice to run with. Now, speaking of comfort here, with a side of just spice, if you will, we land here with the TAC-56. Now look, there's been a ton of hype around this weapon in the community already, but that was primarily for the multiplayer side of things. The TAC-56 brings all of the tools of the trade that you need for a winning Warzone game loadout as well. Smooth recoil, increased damage over range, and a half-decent muzzle velocity. I mean, what isn't to like here? With the following build, you can really double down on that accuracy and make it just a, once again, laser beam, but with that extra punch. The 14.5-inch Tundra Pro barrel is definitely the barrel of choice here, alongside the RF Crown 50 muzzle attachment, once again just toning in that recoil a little bit further. The VLK 4.0 optic, once again, just going for that clean sight picture for longer distance firefighting, with the Tactique Brute stock here to once again reel in that recoil just that little bit further. And well, would you look at that once again, we've got that 60 round mag attached. So yeah, as you can see in the gameplay in the background, this weapon is just a monster monster at beaming targets down at range, and with its extended damage range capabilities against the M4, you're certainly going to feel like you're being a little bit punchier at those extended distances. However, with this build, you are going to very much feel like you're lugging around a heavy piece of kit. This thing will be an absolute mission to get to your eye line fast with the aiming down sights time, so patience and timing will be key with this build, but good accuracy will be rewarded in spades. Now, those are of course both long-range meta builds, but while we do have those amazing long-range options there, not all of your fights in Warzone are going to take place in a long-range battle to the death. Sometimes the gap is going to close, and using a VLK 4.0 optic on an assault rifle is just going to feel a little claustrophobic. Which is why the fastest killing SMG in close quarters combat in the game right now wasn't going to dodge our medalist here today, the Lachmann sub. While it's not going to win you any fights in the long range arena, it might serve to be a very fitting secondary to have by your side in a pinch. The following build for the Lachmann sub is a bit of a steer away from the build that I recommended for the multiplayer side of things, but it does go away to keeping the recoil in check and give you a little bit more range with the weapon than what you may have originally bargained for. Here we've got a 40 round mag, of course, going for that magazine economy here. The Mir Recoil 56 factory stock, the VLK LZR laser, which does go a bit of a way to bringing that aiming down sight speed back into the range a bit. With the FTAC M sub 12 inch, we've got a bit of damage range extension and recoil control in here as well, with the Singard MKV suppressor boot to get us all the way home. I can very much see some sniper heavy players taking this weapon and running with it for those I need to save my ass here moments, because it's really going to be a fitting weapon to run in a pinch. Now, I want to take a moment to talk about the Kastov family as a whole here, because right now, for the most part, it's an incredibly dominant weapon family in Modern Warfare 2 right now. I have a feeling the impacts are going to be a little bit less profound in Warzone 2 across the board, and let me explain why. There's no denying that the Kastov 74U is one of the most popular assault rifles in the game right now. In fact, if you come across a team of absolute sweats right now, there's a chance they're all running the Kastov 74U, which again makes it an amazing weapon, but it really lacks the extended range performance that'll make it a reliable pick for a Warzone fight. Now, if you're going to use it in position of, say, the Lachmann sub as a more CQC orientated option, that can most certainly work as well, but it definitely does limit the application of the 74U for Warzone. The Kastov 762 definitely brings more punch to the table, but I found that the recoil pattern was still a little too jumpy, even after really messing with it in the gunsmith, tuning down some attachments, and doing my best to bring the recoil into play. I again just found the weapon a bit too bouncy to use consistently at those extended ranges where I would be comfortable, say, using the TAC 56 or the M4. So instead, I think the Kastov 762 is going to be more catered towards an aggressive weapon with some small adjustments for range if, you need it. It's going to be, I think, another alternative for snipers who want a still somewhat competitive secondary for range if their shots aren't hitting, but they can whip out in a pinch for CQC orientation as well. On my Kastov 762 build here, I'm running the IGK 3406mm, the FTAC TAC Elite stock, the Polifier S, the 40 round mag, and the 762 armor piercing rounds. Now, this would be the first time I'm suggesting the armor piercing rounds in this video, and the reason I'm doing so on the Kastov armory of weaponry is because the core damage of the Kastov with those armor piercing rounds is going to go a long ways to helping against vehicles that start charging you down. As has been myth busted by certain content creators like Exclusive Ace, armor piercing rounds don't actually provide you with a damage buff over range, at least not to a measurable stat. So I do think that they're a very situational pick, but in this particular instance, I think they're a great addition to a weapon that's got that high-end damage model to ward off vehicles that really start to charge you down. Now, my first hot take of the night, if you will, is the VEL 46 as being a pretty top tier weapon for Warzone. Now, yes, this is a weapon I see people dissing all of the time, but I think it's a bit of a sleeper, if I'm being completely honest. Now, the weapon is not winning any points in the CQC department against some of its other compadres. We get that. There are plenty of SMGs in the game that kill faster than this thing. However, it does carry one of the more consistent damage payloads over extended distances in the SMG family, and on top of that, that 60 round magazine is going to be incredibly helpful in Warzone, noting that that magazine economy can go a long way in letting you deal with more targets at once. I gotta also say that the low recoil kit that we're running on this weapon here in the video means that you can really focus on good crosshair placement, go for those headshots, and kind of turn your brain off for a bit for managing that recoil, which also goes a long way in Warzone lobbies when those time to kill values are bloomed out a bit, and well, you need to focus on that recoil control just that little bit more. Now, of course, Warzone is going to need a meta sniper rifle to run as well. We all know that everyone's going to be sniping like crazy once Warzone drops, but what exactly is the best rifle? I think the jury is still out a bit when it comes to sniper rifles because, well, let's be real, everyone's been really focusing on those fast ADS speed, quick scoping loadouts for the multiplayer. But I personally predict that the LAB-330 will be the perfect rifle of choice for Warzone. The weapon brings about a concoction, or a combination if you will, of the best muzzle velocity available in the sniper rifle category, or at least tying with other rifles for the top spot, and the fastest based aiming down sight speed for said muzzle velocity. It's a winning package that can only be improved upon with some attachments. Where the weapon falters a bit here is on damage against limb hits at range, but upper torso and headshot damage remains as consistent as ever, which makes it still more than capable of doing its job in the Warzone. I don't have a build for this weapon yet, but I will do very shortly as I'm still grinding out those attachments. And my last hot take for this video here, I figured I'd end on a spicy one for you guys. This thing, the RAAL LMG. Holy shit, this bundle of tricks is something that I have been sleeping on since the launch of the game. I mean, it's an LMG, right? Who in their right mind wants to run a big, hefty LMG with a stupidly long aim down sights time, right? Well, I'm now committed to ranking this beast up because it has shown me the light and it has shown me the way. This weapon sports 75 rounds per magazine of absolute heat that will two-shot opponents within the 40-ish meter mark to body shots. That right there is a magazine to kill economy that is surely going to do some wonders for people in Warzone. Now once again, I have no builds for the gun yet, but you can bet your ass I will soon in our weapon review series for this weapon, so stay tuned for that. So folks, those are the weapons that I predict to be very popular in Warzone 2.0, but I also want to hear from you guys in the comment section down below. What weapons do you think will take the top spot as we get into Warzone? Am I wrong? Am I right? Let me know in the comment section down below. I've got a feeling some people are going to be a little bit confused as to why certain weapons weren't included. STB556, I'm looking at you. If you enjoyed the video, please consider hitting that like button as it does go a long way to supporting the channel. And if you find yourself hitting the like button and you're new here, consider hitting subscribe for more content going forward. Once again guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Peace out, and I will see you guys all in the next one. Take care guys, have a good one.